Shalom, Israel. I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm going to try to produce these for you guys. It's your girl, Jetty, by the way. Try to produce these for you guys. Um, Nice and short little snippets that you can get and go. They won't be lives, but I'll still feed you, Israel, who are eating, because I know some of you are eating from the table that the Father has prepared over here. So I want to talk about discernment. Oh, wow, I don't know if 15 minutes is going to be it, but okay, we'll try. I'm going to talk about discernment, okay? When we think of discernment, we think it's something ooky, spooky, and crazy, and like, ooh, you got like a special sense, right? But discernment is simply paying attention and using wise judgment. That thing that everybody told us, they told you Christians aren't supposed to go around judging. It's the stupidest thing ever, okay? The word, whether you read the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, I don't know about the New Testament, but even in the New Testament, if you watch Yeshua, all judgment, all discernment is used, is facilitated by wisdom, by reason, thought, right? Even in a case where there's faith, right? Like if you think of a situation like Yeshua, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this in 15 minutes. If you think of a situation like Yeshua where the woman who was a Gentile came up to him and wanted a healing, and he told her he wasn't going to throw the children's meat to the dogs because she wasn't Hebrew. And she was like, yeah, but even dogs, lick the crumbs from under the table, like throw me a crumb or something. And because of her reasoning, he said, you have said well, you're right. I'll give you this blessing today. He blessed her. Reasoning, right? So first it was her faith that had her to believe that he could do it, but then it was her sound reasoning that won her the blessing, that her faith inspired her to know that she could have, right? Now, you find this type of reasoning throughout the Word. I'm going to use some examples I'll use one that you may know if you read the Apocrypha, and I'll use one that most all of us know, right? Where you have reason as the core to sound judgment. And judgment is simply decision making. Make decisions based on reason, based on what we know to be the standard of Yahweh. We use that standard. That standard develops us in reason, and based on that, we make decisions. That is called discernment, okay? The more you understand the heart and the mind of Yahweh, the more you will come in to higher levels of reasoning. The more you'll be able to see deeper levels of engagement, right? From a very rational, unemotional stance, right? Now, I can't even tell you how the Apocrypha is filled with stories of the prophets speaking of reason over emotion, right? How we must be able to reason first, and then the emotional response is never mind. I don't have time for that. But let's just stay with where we are right now, which is going to go into two examples. Example number one, you have Solomon, wisest guy ever, right? Now, Solomon, and I just want to say, Solomon, the wisest guy ever, was still led astray by strange women. So those of you who don't understand Yah's reason for telling us we are to be separated out from people who do not share his lineage, beliefs, history, spiritual karma, there's like a reason, okay? Because Solomon, the wisest man ever, was taken down by strange women, because he just had all these random behind women, and they had him doing all kind of random stuff from their culture, and it was disgusting to the father. It was just disgusting. And it wasn't that he had a bunch of women, it was that he continued to take like these strange women and learn their practices. So the father would have let him have a million Hebrew women, but that wasn't enough, right? But neither here nor there. Oh, and that does speak to reason, right? Because at a point, it speaks of how his emotion became the best of him in the end of it, right? In the end of it, he just wanted to please his wives and not hear their mouth and whatever. And so he let his emotion rule over reason, which had kept him all of his life and had raised him into a high place, right? And that reason was based on the statutes and laws and commandments and culture of Yah. And when he abandoned it, then he abandoned reason, and now he's out there doing all kind of foul stuff with these wives. And the father was very displeased. He ended his life with the father in a displeased place with him. That's really unfortunate. We don't want to do that. But when he was operating in the fullness of his gift, when Solomon was operating in the fullness of his gift, which wisdom is a gift, you have that story where the two women had both had babies, and one of the babies had like a crib death, right? And then the other lady switched it. Like the baby whose baby died switched it in the middle of the night and put the dead baby in her friend's arms, like they were roommates, right? And so she put the dead baby in her friend's arms and took the living baby. So when the lady woke up and saw the kid was dead, she's like, oh my God, the baby died. My baby died. And she's looking and she's like, this ain't even my baby. What the cuss? Give me my baby. Your baby died. How you gonna put your dead baby? And the lady was like, oh, you tripping. It's my baby. That's your baby. So they get to Solomon. And Solomon uses reason to trip him up, right? To trip the offender up. He's like, okay, cut the baby in half, give each of them half a baby. Now, reason says that the actual mother of the child doesn't want her baby to die. She's more likely, right? This isn't an absolute, but she's highly more likely to want the other lady to raise her baby than to watch it get chopped in half. Right? That's a simple reason. That's like a simple, like rational path of thought, right? And so he says, let's chop the baby in half. The mother says, no, let her have it. The other one says, oh, well, that neither one of us will have it. He says, okay, lock the one up that was going to let us chop the baby. Give this lady back her baby. Reason and rationale, right? So from the Apocrypha, there's a story of Susanna, right? Now, Susanna was this beautiful, 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 honorable woman, young woman, and she was married to a wealthy, honorable man, right? She was raised up, her parents did a good job on her. She was raised up, she was excellent. She did a good job receiving the teaching of the parents. She was this honorable star of a lady in the community. So you had these elders, these judges, okay? People holding the position of judges, who basically had decided that they were going to, have a threesome with her, whether she liked it or not. So she had this habit of going in after all of the judges would use the courtyard, right, and do their thing, her husband's courtyard. And then they would all leave, and then after the house would clear out and everybody would go, then that was her time. Her and the maids would come into the center courtyard, and she would bathe, and that's just was the rhythm of the house. And so these judges knew that that was the rhythm of the house. And so two of the judges, these wicked two, they wanted to they were so in love with her. They lagged behind. They hid in the bushes when her and her maids came in. The maids came in, set up her bath, left like they always do, left her to do her thing. They come out of the bushes. Look, you're either going to give it to us or we're going to say that, you was trying to give it to us, basically. And she's like, no, I'd rather you soil my name than that I soil my name by doing this evil against against myself, my husband, my parents, the community. I ain't that girl. No, sorry, you want to do your worst, right? So they perform this whole thing. They pretend that they've caught her with some man, screwing some man in the courtyard, and they pretend that he ran off and that they accosted her and that she should be put to death. And they run her out in the community. The whole community is like, yeah, put her to death. Yeah, kill her, right? And so there's a young man, because I'm tired of y'all shutting these young people down, calling their sound reason disrespect, because you feel however you feel about the fact that your world is crumbling and everything you thought was what was not, and everything you thought was not is, and now your world is crumbling, and the young people been done tried to told us this stuff, and stop calling their wisdom disrespect. Okay? So the young man, as they're marching off to go kill the girl, the young man is like, for the record, my blood, her blood is not on my hands. Her blood is not on my hands, this young man says. And so this crowd is stopped and like, what? Why? And he's like, y'all don't know foolishness and fuckery when you see it, right? So they're like, the elders say to him, come and sit among us, for the Most High has given you that right. What does that mean when they say, come and sit among us, for the Most High has given you that right? It means when someone speaks out, they have a right to speak out. because it's likely that they are speaking on behalf of the Father. It's likely in a situation like this, when you are looking at judgment and there is like a crowd, yeah, let's do it, and you have someone speak. Listen, I'm guilty of this thing. You pause. You listen. The Father has given them the floor. Young, old, it doesn't matter, right? So he says this. He says they're lying. I know they're lying. Watch this. He examines one. He says, what happened? Oh, I seen her. We came in, or we were hanging out in the corner. She didn't notice us. And she called her maids in, and her maids came in and set her up for the bath. But she had a boo in here, and he was under the tree with her, and they was getting down, and we caught them, and he got away. But she didn't get away. He says to the first one, well, which tree did you catch her under? And he says, well, it was a terebinth tree, right? And whatever, I might have the tree wrong. But he says it was a terebinth tree. And then he says, oh, okay, you liar, you devil, right? First he calls him a liar and a devil before he comes in. He says the Father's going to cut you in two, right? Liar, devil. So he sends him out. He brings the next one in. What tree you find her under? What happened? He says, oh, man, we told you guys, we hung out kind of a little bit after the meeting and was back in the corner. She didn't see us. She came out with her lover. Her lover started to get down, and we stopped them, and he got away. She didn't get away. He says, oh, yeah, well, what tree were they under? Oh, they were under the oak tree. He says, you liar, you devil. First he did liar and devil him coming in, okay? So all this sensitivity training everybody wants us to have for liars and devils and demons and this and that, call it out when you see it. Listen, liar, I'm about to prove you wrong. You ain't got to be politically correct. There's no place in this. This is the Apocrypha. I don't have a Bible handy. Oh, somewhere over there, somewhere. But there's no place that tells us to be politically correct or sensitive to the feelings of evildoers. It tells us to use logic and reason and defeat these wicked ones. And now is an especially important time for logic and reason as we go through this incredible perilous time. And we must be attached to divine logic and reason, which is attached to our divine purpose, which is attached to our spiritual karma, which means we must know what time it is to be able to put one and one together and make two. Okay? And get in the Word, read what the Word says, okay? Read what it says and do what it says. And one of the things it tells us, in the Bible itself, there are 365 times that the words fear not or do not be afraid are featured. So that's one for every single day. Okay, get out of your fear, get out of your feelings, move in wisdom, and do not be afraid of these devils who seek to take territory and push you into a corner and silence you for all different kinds of reasons, right? Because you're mean, because you call people names when they're, listen, if a thief is a thief, when you use reason and sound judgment, you know the difference between being able to say to someone, I know that you stole that, and being able to call a thief a thief. I know that you stole that, baby. Now, you're not a thief. You need to put it back. Versus, listen, you dirty thief. You won't steal from me again. Put it back. You need to know which is which and when which is appropriate, because both are appropriate responses in a given situation. Right? That's just true. So I just invite you all, and look at me trying to really do it under 15 minutes to praise y'all. I just invite you all to really get into the scriptures, really stand in your authority, because in these last days, that's what it's about. It's about who has taken on the responsibility to take dominion, like we were first told. And all this, they won't let us, and they, this, and they. I don't know who they are, but I know who Yah is, and he has given us dominion. And I know who Yeshua is, and all power and glory and dominion was given to him by the Father, and he passed it on to us. So if you are not walking in it, if you are somewhere illogical, in your feelings, afraid, don't know how to take territory, don't know how to chase wickedness from your door, don't know how to stand in persecution without falling apart, don't know how to allow your children to suffer for a righteous cause and reason. These are the kinds of things that are going to be required of us, and they are only going to be built on sound reason. So there you have it. May Yah be with you, Israel. We're here in Belize. Hit me up if you want to get out. We've got land. If you're not crazy, we can bless you, okay? We'll talk money some other time, but if you need a blessing, you're trying to get out, hit me up. And there are people all over the world, and you don't necessarily have to come and connect with us, but perhaps we can connect you with somebody. It's time to get out away from the mess. Peace.